Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the live show with Conrad and John.
Hey.
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I am doing very well today. I was going to say good, but I'd try not to use that word anymore.
Okay, it's a four-letter word, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah, well,
I said it too many times on our very first video, and I try to avoid it.
Okay. We learn from our mistakes,
yes,
right?
we do. Yes, we do.
Well, we're just going to banter on here a little bit till people can join us. So,
Yes.
So we are not riding bikes anymore.
No, we are not.
Well,
a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, I actually rode my bike on Sunday. I rode 13 miles.
Well, good. I actually did 21 up to Gettysburg, the battlefield, and my quads were like sore. Not sure. They both were sore. So, of course, I popped 2 ibuprofen relief, and I felt fine after that.
So I'm having a problem with my elbow.
Oh.
I have like cycler's elbow, like right here.
Like tennis elbow?
Like tennis elbow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was riding like this, if I can get on the camera here,
right,
I was riding like this.
Right.
And for some reason, didn't hurt me while we were on the ride. And now it's like painful and I can't ride much.
Okay. But you've been doing other stuff though, right?
I've been doing other stuff. I've been riding the elliptical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to support your arms.
I don't have to support my arms. I say riding the elliptical. I've been like moving my legs a lot.
Okay.
So
that's riding.
That's riding. Riding.
Yeah, we'll call it riding today.
Well, anyway, if you are joining us, I'm Conrad. This is John. We rode across the country.
Just a short ride.
2 weeks ago, yesterday, we came back.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been that long.
Wow. And someone was calculating on Sunday. They were calculating how many weeks we were on the tour. It was 9 weeks and 2 days.
Wow.
Can you believe it? 9 weeks and 2 days it took us to ride across the country.
No.
Yeah.
It went by so quick.
It did. Hey, if you're joining us and we'd love to know where you guys are from. So if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can join us in the chat and we'll take questions there later as well. So be sure to let us know where you're watching from if you can. Mm-hmm. And give us a thumbs up if you can hear us all right. Because, I'm usually doing this by myself. So I had to hook up another microphone and all that. So I wanted to make sure that we're coming through loud and clear. So anyway, we are going to talk a little bit about our ride. And we're going to bring on some special guests in a few minutes and let them talk as well. But John and I want to introduce John. You guys probably know him as my riding partner. You kind of know who I am. I'm the filmmaker, made PTSD 911. John, who are you and what do you do?
I am a retired government employee. I retired back in 21 from 36 years with the federal government.
One of those jobs that you have to kill me if you tell me what you did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I won't ask.
That's right.
Okay. Well, you had plenty of chances out there in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But you didn't. Right. So
that's right.
I'm thankful for that.
Yes, because otherwise you may not be here. Right?
I may not be here. You'd be doing this show on your own.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I'd have never been able to set all this up.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming along and joining me on the ride. Some of you may wonder, how I got John to say yes. Well, it was actually pretty easy. I just said, "Hey, John, you want to go on a bike ride?" And he said, "Yeah, where we're going." And I said, "Well, how about coast to coast from Oregon to Maryland?" And
I said, I looked at my wife and she didn't say no or shake her head vigorously. So I said, "I'm in."
You said you're in. Yes. And so that was 2 years ago.
Hard to believe.
A little over 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we decided to do this.
I think it was in probably May of 21.
Yeah. So it was, 2 years later, we were on bikes and
yes.
What an amazing journey.
By the way, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to thank you for inviting me on this adventure because that's the trip of a lifetime. I had such a good time and it was just a wonderful time. And to meet all these first responders on the trip was just the highlight of the whole journey.
That was absolutely the highlight of just meeting the people along the way. Mm-hmm. And just to give everybody a glimpse of a part of our trip, I put together a little 2-minute video that we're going to play. And it'll just show you just a very small glimpse of what we experienced. I'm going to roll this and hopefully it works. So here we go. I got to back it up. There we go.
Good morning. Here we go.
Good
The journey
morning.
begins.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing.
So that brought back a lot of memories. How about you,
yes.
John?
Yes, it did. Especially that squirrel that just missed your.
Oh,
front
that
tire.
squirrel. Yeah, I was going about almost 40 miles an hour down that hill.
Yes, and I was right
This
behind
was in
you.
Oregon on a bike path, and John was right behind me, and we were flying down this hill. And I was reaching back to do something on my bike behind me, and so I had one hand on the handlebars.
Yes.
And this squirrel just went right in front of my tire. It was so close. It would have been really bad for both of us, I think.
Yes, I would, because you'd have crashed and I'd have been right on top of you.
Yeah, and it would have been bad for the squirrel.
Oh yes, yes, yes. We got a few chipmunks on our list.
Yeah,
2 and 1.
yeah. It was. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't hit that, but we ended up hitting a couple of chipmunks later on in the ride. But we won't talk about that.
No.
So, John, tell me, what are some of the what's a highlight for you on this tour?
I mean, the highlight as far as scenery would have been the ride from, was it Hermiston, Oregon, up to Walla Walla.
There along the Columbia River.
Yes, it was so beautiful, and the benefit was the cliffs along the side of the road shaded us for most of the morning. And it was a really nice, cool ride that day, and it was beautiful along the river too. But as far as the highlight of my mentally was meeting the firemen and first responders across the country.
Yeah, definitely the people. For me, I think scenery wise, I think Montana, down the Bitterroot Valley.
Oh yeah.
Was just stunning. It was just a beautiful, beautiful place. And you saw some of that in the clip I just showed. And but the people, the people we met along the route, along the way, even some of the characters.
Oh yes. Yes.
Like Badger Bob.
Badger Bob. Exactly.
We met Badger Bob. If you're ever in Wisdom, Montana, stop in at the little gas station grocery store and talk to Badger Bob. He'll be there in the morning. I promise you. He'll be
in the morning before 9 o'clock, before he starts working on something in town.
Yeah. Just go there and you'll see this old guy there and he'll tell you, my name is Badger Bob. And let him tell you the story about how he got his name. So yeah, that was that was interesting. But I think the highlight really for me was just meeting the first responders that we met with. And we just, some places we just rolled into town. For example, Walla Walla.
Yeah.
We rolled into town, saw a firehouse, pulled in and knocked on the door. They came and said, what do you guys want? And we told them what we're doing. And they said, what are you guys doing for dinner?
Yeah.
And
he said, we're cooking a brisket today.
And we said, what time's dinner?
Yes.
And we showed up, and then our wonderful support crew showed up as well, and they were able to join us for dinner. And in just a minute, we're going to bring Joe Ramirez on to talk about some things too. but yeah, it was the people that we met along the route. I think that was amazing. And for me, part of the 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 process of going on this trip was really just to kind of get a brain cleanse, and just to get fresh air and to get out there to just think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thinking time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I didn't say stinking time. I said
No.
thinking time.
Thinking time. So there's a lot of times we were talking a lot, but there were a lot of times we were just riding, and it's like mowing the lawn. You just have that time to yourself, and you just kind of get into that bubble and think about things.
Yeah, it was. And for me, I've been contemplating a book idea for a number of years. I felt the urge to write a book.
Oh, yeah.
And this ride really solidified that for me, and actually gave me a theme. And I won't go into what that is right now, but I'm actually starting to work on it.
Fantastic.
I had my first writing session last Friday.
Oh, great.
And have my second one this Friday. And so, yeah, there's going to be a book coming.
Fantastic.
Not sure when, but yeah, it's going to be coming. So, and it came out of this ride of just spending time in my own head, in nature, out in the world, the challenges of the ride, all the struggles. We had some bad days.
Yeah, we did.
We had some days we didn't even get along sometimes.
Right. Yeah, it's just
only one time.
Which isn't bad out of what, 65
out
days?
Of 65 days.
Most couples can't say that.
I know, right? So, yeah, but I learned a lot. What did you learn about yourself?
I was surprised how much I could do. I wasn't sure. I mean, we really trained well getting prepared for this trip, but as you know, we talked about it before when we first rode out to Astoria, and we rode over the two mountains that we had to go over in the car, which happened a lot. When you're in a car and you're riding up these hills, they seem a lot worse than what they really are.
Yeah.
And when we rode them, it was like a different thing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually kind of fed off each other. Conrad kind of kept me in check because I was more aggressive. I would attack some hills.
He would just be going for it, just grinding. I'm like, hey, buddy, slow down, man.
Right,
slow down.
I mean, it didn't happen right away. I just had to learn the hard way. And then I said, well, please feel free to speak up. And so we had a lot of communication on, he'd help me to slow down. And I mean, if we're just rolling hills, I could still attack him, but I wouldn't attack him too vigorously. I learned to back off a little bit, but it was always better on the big hills to let this guy lead a little bit. So,
well, it's that give and take. I think that was really good, that we really worked well together on this. And it could have gone very opposite. It could have been just terrible, but it wasn't. And it was a really, it's a pleasure to have you along and to be a part of this. Cause originally I was going to do this by myself.
Couldn't imagine.
And originally we were going to do it by ourselves without support.
True.
And then we had Lighthouse Health and Wellness came on as our primary sponsor. And, about 3 weeks before we left, I get a text message. The text message was, hey, Conrad, I did something. I'm like, Joe, what did you do? And I'm going to let Joe explain this to me.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Joe Ramirez from Lighthouse Health and Wellness.
Greetings, gentlemen.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Greetings from almost the other side of the United States. We are one stop away from being home in St. George, Utah. I get home to Orange County tomorrow.
Wow. So we've been home for 2 weeks, and you were in the RV, and you're still not home.
You're still not. No, we took 3 beautiful days actually and stayed in Ocean City. My wonderful girlfriend Yvonne and I, who joined me on this whole amazing trip. So we stayed there for a couple days, relaxed, and got out to Denver for a FBI National Academy convention. I guess on Saturday we got in, or Friday. That was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday home.
Yeah. So when you sent me that text, you remember that? What was it that you told me?
Yeah, I bought an RV.
3 weeks before we left.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody planning this late in doing an adventure like this. But no, so Conrad, honored to have been a sponsor of the film, the sponsor of the ride, and then be able to provide the support for this amazing journey that you guys had. And yeah, 3 weeks prior, decided that, yep, we're going to do it. Bought an RV, got it wrapped. mind you, we weren't even home for half of that. We were out in Maryland for an ICISF conference as this was happening. Flew home for a week, tried to figure out what to do with it, and jumped in it the Friday night in Southern California before we needed to be up in Oregon by Saturday night. We unfortunately missed Saturday night, but we met our departure on your departure on the way out. But yeah, it was a crazy decision. One I would absolutely make again. It's been an amazing experience, and happy we were able to join and be able to support you guys on that amazing trip and the work that you're doing, Conrad.
Well, we want to say from the bottom of our heart, thank you, because there were moments in time when we needed you guys desperately.
Yes.
Like the first time I remember when we were in the middle of Nowhereville, Wyoming.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, there wasn't a house in sight. There wasn't even a tree.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Right. That's right.
And there was 2 giant storms coming. And we were like, what are we going to do? And there's lightning, and we're exposed just out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And we're like, oh, we have a phone call we can make.
Right. Because they were just coming back from being gone for a week.
Yeah.
That was the day.
Which they left us going over the hardest part.
Yeah.
For a week.
A lot of nerve, man.
Yeah. I mean, over the Rockies, through Yellowstone, we were by ourselves.
Right. Fully loaded. But man, we made it. Yes, we did.
Didn't need you guys then.
We were happy to see you that day.
Yes,
I
we
just
were.
remember coming and grabbing you guys, and about 3 minutes after we got in the RV and loaded, it opened up on us.
And you had a hard time keeping the RV on the road.
Oh yeah, and I think you were making a joke about whiskey or wine and the lightning bolt. Like literally, like I was looking out past Yvonne, and I think it hit the tower. Like
right next to the road.
I mean, it was in the middle of a full-fledged don't joke around, don't be outside thunderstorm, and by minutes. So you got to think there's something guiding everything to have after a week us catching you at that exact spot and moment.
Yeah. Exactly. It was, I feel it was a divine intervention there, divine rescue.
It was something.
And I will say that we didn't just desert him. Yvonne's son graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So it was a little
we were joking.
That's true.
But I was all grumpy about it because it was through Yellowstone. And that was the whole thing of this trip I wanted to go do. But thankfully, you guys rode through Yellowstone for 2 days in rain and cold and horrible conditions. We got to drive through it in beautiful sunlight and everything, the wildlife. So
I'm so glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Joe, let me ask you this. What did you learn through this process? I mean, you guys were a part of this whole journey as well. I mean, you weren't riding bicycles and being out, in nature that way, but what did you learn about yourself about this whole thing?
Yeah.
Anything?
I think the biggest one really for me about myself was, I'm 46 and have been single. And now I've got this nice lady who unfortunately we just got here. So she's like, no, you take care of the podcast. We just landed here for the minute. But, how much it helps. And I think Conrad, in a way with John, having somebody, join you and support you on your journey and be able to give up that much of themselves to support something you're going to go try and do. And obviously, I think, John, I'm probably speaking for you here as well. There's a commitment to the first, to the causes that we have. But first and foremost, they got into this because they committed to us as a friend or a partner. And I think for me, that was kind of the biggest lesson learned as we're coming home going, okay, how does this change how I am and how I've been with where it is, for myself. The other side too is that, as an organization, this really allowed Lighthouse to grow into something that's not just Joe. I have an amazing team that let me I thought I'd be able to work on the road. Absolutely not. Like from what I thought I would accomplish in terms of day-to-day work, just getting up and moving every day, the noise in our amazing rattle box that we have. So that's really the thing that the biggest change, I think, is being able to come home to an organization that isn't dependent upon me. And it hasn't been. They wouldn't have been able to do that at the drop of a hat as they did. But my comfort in saying, wow, we've got a team and we've got a thing. And it was also cool, I think, rolling into a couple of spots where people knew about Lighthouse, not through this. We're based in Orange County. I think we're up to now 430, 440. And, since we last spoke, organizations. And it was really neat being out there and seeing it. And bringing us tangibly, not just as little squares on the phone, but as into the bigger organization that we hope to be, which is more participatory.
And what was it like also to kind of meeting those people, face to face at the events that we put on?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough that that's been a lot of what I've been able to do. So, leading up to it. But what was exciting to me was being able to explain what it is we're doing and where we're going with the organization and how excited people were for what you're doing, Conrad. Just the combination, as we talked about, the awareness, the action, kind of the bigger picture of it all, and seeing these people who are in the trenches, day to day for years and years, longer than we have, working on this within agencies or, their chaplains or clinicians that support them, just how excited they are for the collective work we're doing and how genuinely grateful they are. As I think I told you kind of how I got into this, that's the weirdest thing, is having them come up and thank you for what you're doing. It's like, no, we're just here to kind of make sure you guys are okay. It's a thanks to you. So that part is always nice and just gives a little bit of a kick back in, outside of the organizational stuff that I usually do out here. Absolutely being able to talk to the folks on the ground and in the trenches and see that we're, it's all going in the right direction. Not fast enough, but
right.
We definitely are moving things the right way for them.
Yeah. Well, it was, like I said earlier, it was great having you guys on the trip. It wouldn't have been the same without you guys. I mean, I think it would have been, there was times when, you guys picked us up for weather reasons. There's another time you guys picked us up when my front tire blew up. I mean, literally just exploded.
Yes.
And we were 25 miles from the bike shop, and it's like, it would have been a long push back.
Oh yeah. And if we'd have started again where we were, we'd have got in after dark.
Yeah, it would have been a late night in the dark, and I was not going to ride the bike in the dark, especially when there's semi trucks whizzing by, on our shoulder. So it was great having you guys. Hey, Joe, we're broken down. Can you come do the rescue? And
and we didn't do it enough, but the fun parts were being able to see you guys as you were going. Being able to be along the way and kind of catch you guys out there.
Sandwiches,
get the honk on the way by.
Sandwiches.
Exactly.
But
so just for everybody watching and listening, there was a time when early in the trip when we would be riding and all of a sudden the RV comes past and then we see it pulled over and we'd get out and there was sandwiches made and we had lunch.
That was good.
And then Yvonne escaped to go back home.
Yeah.
And then the RV would show up and would come in and Joe said, "Hey, all the stuff's in the fridge. Go make yourself some sandwiches."
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "What? Where's the service?"
No, but it was great having that. And we
was.
just really appreciate that and appreciate the opportunity to have you guys be a part of it and to just, and part of what brings me joy is to be able to bring people to parts of the country that you haven't seen before.
Oh, that's right.
And you guys got to see some of my hometown where I grew up in Amish country and experience some of that world in Ohio. And so that was kind of cool.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we rerouted our route to go through that area.
Yeah, it was a great move to get up through Amish country in Ohio, even though we had one of our steepest hills.
Yeah, the hills were not fun.
The first time we had to hike a bike.
Yes, that's right. Not the last.
Yeah, not the last, but it was the first time we had to hike a bike because Holmes County, Ohio, it's got some hills.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And for those of you think, well, the Rockies are bigger. Yes, they are, but they're higher, but they're broader. And the mountains and the hills in the East Coast are shorter and steeper.
Yes.
And so, we had to hike a bike. Yep. But then, just to bring Joe, you and Yvonne, and of course John, into some of those areas that I grew up in and was familiar with, and to have you guys participate there and to meet some of my family, actually.
That's right.
So that was cool. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing that. What's next for you, Joe? What besides getting home?
Right. Yeah, get home. So what's next is take the RV, the mobile support unit, as we have christened it, and figure out how we're going to start using that to support our local agencies in Southern California, probably up into Northern California as well. So transitioning into, again, more from the technology company that most people know us as, into this more hands-on, proactive organization supporting our responders in there as they do their jobs on a day-to-day basis, not just when they're in crisis. So how exactly we're doing that, that's the part of the figuring out part as we get there. But that's what our next stop is.
Very cool. So tell us where people can find more information about you guys and your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Lighthouse, LIGHTHOUSE 4 the number 4ps.org. And that's the first time I've mentioned that one because we have our, if anybody paid attention to the RV as we were going, it wasn't our usual website, our original website. So we're evolving from Lighthouse Health and Wellness to Lighthouse for Public Safety. And with that mission of being all encompassing, that as much as we want to make sure we're there in their times of need, we're there in that crisis moment, or we want them to do wellness, take time out of their day and be well. The reality is most of them are overstressed, overworked, and just don't have the time to be able to sit there and do the things we would hope they would be able to, and we wish we could make time for. So we want to do more to bring wellness into everything they do in their jobs, from productivity to training and other areas. So as we, I've been holding off on the announcement until I'm actually at home. So I think we're going to post that tomorrow or Friday. But yeah, Lighthouse4ps.org, and you'd be able to find more information about us, and happy to talk to anybody about what we can do to help your responders be healthier and live better and more.
Awesome.
Great.
Very good. Well, Joe, thanks for joining us tonight and for being part of this adventure we're on.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So we will talk to you again later. And
yes,
I want to let you guys know. So this whole thing, the Coast to Coast ride, was really inspired by one guy.
That's right. And
it was during COVID that my wife and I started watching YouTube a lot. And I found this YouTuber named Ryan Van Duzer. And Ryan is a guy from Boulder, Colorado. He rides a bike everywhere. He doesn't even own a car. And he's probably one of the most positive guys I know.
Yes, he is.
And so I had the privilege of getting connected with him. I had him on my podcast, and he really totally inspired me to do this Coast to Coast ride. He's ridden across the country 3 times, and one time on a 3-speed bike. Can you believe it?
It was a Schwinn, right?
Yeah, some kind of 3-speed bike. I think he bought it at Walmart, and he had a trailer behind him.
Exactly.
I mean, that's crazy.
Well, that's proof that you don't need much.
You don't need much to ride the bike across the country.
Exactly.
Well, Ryan has become a friend, and it's because of Ryan's connection with Priority Bicycles that we got connected with Priority, and they gave us the bicycles to ride across the country. They were our bicycle sponsor. And
can't
Ryan,
say enough about those bikes.
Yeah, tell you what, if you want an amazing bicycle, go to Priority Bicycles and check out their bikes. They're amazing, and we can't preach enough about them.
That's right.
So I know we have some questions coming. We're going to answer the questions in just a little bit. But first, Ryan couldn't be here tonight. I asked him if he could be here and give a little bit. He couldn't be here, but he sent me a video. So here's a quick message from Ryan Van Duzer, the YouTuber who inspired this whole thing. Here is Ryan.
Hello, all you amazing first responder people out there in the audience. Thank you for what you do. I'm sending you a big high five. Boom! It's your friend Ryan Van Duzer, and you know me, I love bikes, and I truly believe in the power of bicycles to make the world healthier, to make our bodies healthier, to make the environment healthier. So I'm going to keep on riding. Conrad's going to keep on riding, and I'm guessing all of you are going to keep on riding your bikes, or it doesn't even have to be a bike. Just get outside and breathe some fresh air. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just wanted to say hi. Congrats on your ride across the country. Whoa, that's a long way, man. Way to go. Cheers.
What a guy. What a guy. Just full of positivity.
Oh, yeah.
And energy. And he just finished Ragbri.
Yes.
And if you're not familiar with Ragbri, it's a ride across Iowa that had 50,000 people.
Yeah, I think so.
They actually closed the highway, and they have 50,000 people this summer. Just last week, they just finished on Sunday was the last day. And he just finished that. So he's just back from that. But yeah, just a great guy, and so thankful to have him as a friend, and can't wait to see what he's doing next. So, but if you want to know more about Ryan and follow him on YouTube, Ryan Van Duzer, or Duzer TV is his YouTube channel. Check it out. So in just a little bit, we have another guest that's going to come on, but I first want to introduce, let's see what time it is here. It is 7:29. Okay. Well, we're going to take a couple questions. I know we had Darla Darla Souther from Hamilton, Montana. She came on. In fact, she was a host. So Darla said, any idea about the number of mountain passes you conquered?
Lolo.
Well, first,
Yes.
the first one was coming out of Oregon into Idaho. Remember that pass that we had a tailwind?
Oh yes.
I don't know the name of the pass.
I don't either. That was that from Luxa Lodge or no? That was before.
No, that was before we even got into Idaho. Remember, then we had the headwind going
Right.
down
Right. We had to pedal down
into
hill.
Lewiston. Yeah, we had the pedal. We were going down the mountain,
Yes.
down the hill, steep, 4
Yes.
miles, and we had the pedal.
Yeah.
Because the wind was blowing right in our face.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I was
So-
like, are we pedaling downhill? I mean,
Yes.
Granted, we were in 10th or 11th gear, but still,
We were pedaling down the hill.
we felt we had to pedal.
Yeah.
To get going.
So
So that's one.
yeah,
Then Lola, of course.
Lolo Pass, which was probably the hardest one.
Right.
That was 12 miles.
And then there was the
There was a pass going into
Missoula.
Missoula.
Yeah, that was another one.
No, that was Lolo. That was Lolo Pass.
That was Lola Pass.
That was Lolo Pass.
Okay. Okay. So then there was the Indian one that we met,
Atogity Pass.
yes.
Atogity Pass, which was the highest. We were at 9,600 feet.
Yep.
And so then there was probably a couple others. There was like the lowest pass going into West Yellowstone,
Right.
which was kind of, it
There
was
were some passes. Well, we did a pass coming out of Yellowstone too. So
Yeah.
it was kind of, there
through
was snow
Yellowstone. It was
everywhere.
like over 8,000 feet in Yellowstone. So
right. Right.
there was snow.
So I'm going to say we had about 5.
5 major mountain passes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, well, the
that's
Eastern
right.
Divide.
Yep.
Eastern Divide.
That's right.
That was only 2,300 feet. So,
Right.
but it was like all day uphill.
Yes.
But just gradually, you didn't even really realize it was, but you were just like, we just need another half a gear.
Between 8 and 9.
If anybody's listening from Priority Bicycles, we need an 8.5. We need a gear that's
Right.
8.5.
Or just like an overdrive setting. So
Yeah.
it goes a little bit beyond the
There you
gear
go.
it's in.
Okay, so we had a bunch of mountain passes. Thank you for the question. And Darla,
Yes.
thank you for hosting us in Hamilton, Montana. You weren't even there. You gave us your home and allowed us to stay there. So
Thank
huge
you.
props to you
Yeah,
and your
beautiful
husband.
home, beautiful
And
home.
also just want to say, thank your husband for serving. Her husband was a former first responder.
Oh,
And she told me that in a message the other day. So thank you for his service there. Yeah, it was great to be in your place there. And so I think you have another question here, Darla. She said it was cool that John signed. We need more of that talent to help hearing import. So John, why did you sign on the videos that we did
well,
in the mornings?
my mom and dad were deaf. Neither were born deaf, so none of their kids are deaf. So I have 3 siblings, and all of us can hear, but we're all very fluent in ASL. So I decided, I guess it was about a weekend, to start signing the posts, and I thought it'd be good for my stepmom still around, and I thought she'd enjoy seeing that. I have some friends from church that would probably enjoy seeing what's going on that day, and work friends. Hi, Chi. But I just thought it'd be good to let everybody see what's going to go on that day. So, but a good practice for me.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Todd Stewart. Todd, I want to say thank you for helping with the event in Des Moines. It was an amazing event there. I think it was our largest event of the
Yeah,
tour.
Right neck and neck was Pittsburgh. Right
Yeah,
there with
it
them.
was. Yeah, but
Real
I think
close.
they edged out Pittsburgh just by a few.
Mhm.
So that was a great event.
job.
Todd, he said, honored to play a small part. And he said, how did the smoke from the Canadian wildfires impact you?
Ooh.
Well, they impacted us twice.
Right, 2 different times.
2 different times. One in the West, early the first week.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that there's also Canadian fires in Western Canada. And that first week when we were in Oregon, the one day we had a long day, 80 some miles
from Maryhill to McNairy. We were supposed to do.
Yeah. And man, it was hot and smoky.
Yes. We actually got sandwiches that day too. That was a good thing.
We did get sandwiches.
We got sandwiches that day. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thanks,
Yes.
Yvonne.
But we only made it, what, 67 miles, I think, right?
Yeah.
To Patterson.
And it was so hot and
Yes.
the smoke was so bad. And we called an audible, as I said that day, and called for the backup crew to come get us. And we had to breathe some fresh air. So that was the first time the smoke impacted us.
We didn't smell the smoke as much that day, but it just affected us heat wise.
It did affect us heat wise. But then later on in the trip, when we coming through Illinois, we were in Peoria, Illinois, and the day before we got to Peoria, we got up that day and we were riding and was like, man, this haze is just kind of lingering. It's just kind of haze across the cornfields. And it's like, man, the fog's not lifting. Well, it wasn't fog. No, it was smoke.
And that evening, when we were walking back from the restaurant up the street, I mean, it smelled like smoke in the air.
It did. It did.
Yes.
And the next morning, we had a big event in Peoria that night, a screening event for the film. The next morning, we got up, and it was, if you look at the map of the air quality, it was in the purple.
Yes.
Which is like one step away from the worst step. So it was like extremely dangerous. But we had 80 miles to go that day.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're like, yeah, we got to ride. And so we got on the bikes and we started riding, and we had these gaiters that we wore, and we just covered our noses. And we rode about 40 some miles. Then a storm was coming, and we ended up having to go to a bike shop, and ended up, we called an audible that day too.
That's right.
And I think it was a good thing we did, because we had another 40 miles to go. And it would have been breathing all that heavy smoke that was literally, the news reporters were saying, it's dangerous to be outside, and breathing that heavy smoke and doing the work that we were doing, riding bicycles, I think would not have been a good idea.
Right.
And so we actually got in the RV and they took us to the next stop ahead. So very thankful for that we didn't have to. In fact, we were starting to sound like smokers.
That's right.
At the end of that day.
That's right.
It was like, hey,
Scratchy
John,
voice,
how you doing tonight? You know, I've just been here smoking my cigarettes, you know.
That's right. It was.
But no, we were smoking the smoke from the Canadian fire.
Right.
So.
Traveled a long way to come join us.
But then the next day, I think it cleared up.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And so we were good to go.
I think the rest of the trip we were good too.
Yeah, the rest of the trip we were good. So that was a real blessing. But yeah, it was great to have support.
Oh yeah.
If we'd have been on our own, you know, there's we were in a different place for our ride. A lot of people who ride across the country, and we met some people who were riding. Some of them were riding from the east to the west.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people who just decide, hey, I'm going to ride across the country. They don't have support. Well, they kind of decide when they want to stop, where they want to stop. Doesn't matter. And for us, we had deadlines to meet. We had waypoints that we had to be at, because we had events. And so we didn't have a choice sometimes but to be picked up and to be advanced to the next stop.
Right.
Because
of our schedule.
And so I think if I do this again, I probably wouldn't have those fixed times, you know. So if we get tired or the smoke's bad, we can just stop here for the night.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that.
That would be a lot more, I don't want to say enjoy, but we still enjoy the ride.
Oh, absolutely.
A great adventure. And it's kind of nice that there was, we had a set time frame, but it would have been nice to have more flexibility.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but it is what it is. And I'd do it again.
Yeah. I would do this again.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But part of our journey, we were raising money. That's right. To help a nonprofit. 220 was the nonprofit that we decided to help, and they are featured in the film PTSD 911, and they do amazing work. And we decided to put a fundraiser together to help them. And so I believe our total was like $3,385, something like that. We raised.
Sounds about right.
So really it comes down to almost $1 a mile we raised.
Oh, okay.
If you think about it that way.
Yeah.
And part of that was that we were going to do a raffle. So people who donated their name got put into a drawing to win a bicycle.
Thank you, Priority.
Thank you, Priority Bicycles. They came through it again.
Yes,
They
they
gave
did.
us each a bike, and then they came and said, hey, you know what? We'll give you a third bike for you to raffle off. And tonight, here is the winner of the raffle. It is actually a first responder.
Yes, which was great.
Detective Craig Genser. He is with the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police with the Mobile Crime Scene Unit, and he's the winner of the Priority 600 bicycle. He got his bicycle this week.
Fantastic.
And he put it together, and he's enjoying it.
Great.
And he was going to send me a picture of him on the bike, but he hasn't sent me that yet, but I'm sure he will at some point. So Craig, congratulations.
Congrats, Craig.
Thank you for supporting 220 and supporting our ride, and happy riding. Maybe one day we can connect and we can get all these Priority bicycles together.
Yeah.
For a Priority ride. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be great.
Okay. But I'm going to tell you this. We have the founder of, and the director, I'm not sure exactly his title, but he'll tell us, of 220 is
cool.
with us tonight.
Great.
Here he is, Dan Jarvis. Welcome to the crazy live show we got going on here.
Yeah.
Hey, Conrad, John, congratulations on one heck of a bike ride. I can't even fathom what that was like.
Thank you.
Physically
Thank
and
you.
emotionally. So I tip my hat to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. So, so thanks for being a part of the film, because you appear in the film and your work appears in the film. So thank you for that. How's 220 doing?
We're thriving pretty well. We've made a lot of connections. It's kind of interesting. Your gentleman that won the bike, we're actually going to be in Pittsburgh in February. So we're going to be conducting a training with another nonprofit out there, peer support, plus some licensed professionals that work with Pittsburgh. So that's exciting. But yeah, we've been traveling all over the country. Spent a lot of time recently out in Los Angeles at a National Association of Police Organizations conference, and made some really good connections with some of the organizations behind law enforcement agencies that representing their people. Yeah, it's going very well. I mean, we just recently got connected with a senator in the state of Florida who's invited us to be part of the state's search for alternative treatments. Dr. Pam Arnell, our executive director, is involved with the courts in Alabama. So we're going to be getting into the justice involved vets in the courts, because PTSD is the big driver for bad choices that get our men and women in some legal issues. So yeah, we're plugging one day at a time.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So just in a brief nutshell, just kind of give us a cliff notes as what 220 does for PTSD.
So 220, the number 22 is the estimate average of the number of veteran suicides every day in the United States, and the goal is 0. So our goal is to become irrelevant. We're trying to go out of business. And what we do is we have a very unique approach at how we work with trauma and depression and anxiety. Is we train other veterans and other first responders to do peer support, where the peer leads them through a process that will neurologically remove the emotions out of traumatic experiences, and then it forces the brain to do what's called memory reconsolidation. So whenever a veteran comes to us or a first responder comes to us, we'll do an assessment. We do a neurological assessment. It's called the post-traumatic stress disorder checklist version 5, which is out of the DSM-5. So we score 20 questions, and they can score up to 80 points on it. And it's not uncommon to see somebody scoring like 78 out of 80. And after 3, maybe 4 sessions, they're scoring 2-3 points. So major shifts in the emotions is what they see. Sleep restores, triggers dissipate, their emotions regulate. It allows them to re-engage in society, not isolate. It stops the isolation behaviors. They're able to focus on things. So what we do is we call it healing the hero, because it's exactly what we do. The brain's got the capacity to heal itself. We're just kind of holding a roadmap, showing it how to do that.
Hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just lost my train of thought. I need another session with you, Dan.
Let's go for it. We got time.
Well, the one thing that I know I experienced, I know when you were here at my house and we were sitting at my breakfast table, and I mentioned to you that I was having these nightmares, several times a week, that I've had, every week for years. And you said, well, do you want me to fix that? And it was like 20 minutes later, we were done, and I haven't had a nightmare since.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's pretty crazy.
It was absolutely mind blowing. It was like, wow, this is like voodoo. This is like magic. And it rewires the brain. And so how can people, I know what I was going to ask you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys do this for free for first responders and veterans, right?
First responders, veterans, and their immediate families. So even children that live in the home. So husband, wife, kids, veteran, first responder, active military as well.
So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you guys?
So they can go to our website, 220.org, 220.org, and that's the number 22zero.org. They can just select get help here, and it's going to get an email is going to come directly to our case manager, who's Tricia, and there's no wait list. So literally, it's not uncommon for somebody to either call us or send an email, and within a few hours, we're in contact with them. And next thing you know, they're assigned a peer coach, and the coach and the client work out their schedules, and they start the healing journey.
And I have to say, John, that I've been, connected with Dan for a couple of years now. And there's times when I've been around the country and I talked to a first responder. In fact, I was at an airport one time and just talking to a first responder, and he was telling me how he has, he's carrying all this baggage. And I said, well, do you want someone to fix that? And he goes, that can be fixed. And I said, I think so. And I said, I got a guy. And I said, I know a guy. And so he gave me his phone number, and I texted it to Dan. And before I was even on the plane, those two had connected.
You're kidding.
And so, Dan, every time I sent you someone, the response has been, almost immediate. And so that's been amazing.
Well,
that's fantastic.
They're worth it. And we should be taking the time to speak to everybody we can when we can. And you never know how much time somebody's got. So it's imperative to always answer that phone.
Yeah. Well, Dan, thank you for doing what you do. And we're going to continue supporting you guys and promoting what you guys do, because I believe in your mission. I believe that you guys are saving lives, and one day we will get that number down to zero. And we're veterans and first responders are not taking their own lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Conrad.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Good to see you again, and hope to connect with you again soon.
Look forward to it.
Okay. All right. Wow. This has been really an amazing evening. And, but I want to answer a few more questions. So if you guys have any more questions for us, just put them in the chat if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll try to grab them as we can. John, what are some of your, what's next for you?
Well, my lovely wife, Carrie, has a long list of chores.
The honey-do list?
The honey-do list. Just catching up with some things I need to get done, and getting back into regular life. Only had one bike ride since our trip.
So how has that been for you? I know how it's been for me getting back in regular life.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been for you?
It's been kind of weird because, we were even talking on our trip. It's kind of weird. We had days off, and you get into such a groove every day. It gets to be such a routine that on the days you take off, the very next day when you do go back out again, it's like you can't wait to get back on the bike again.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't having aches and pains. I will say that one ride I took after a week of doing nothing, like I said earlier, my quads were sore, but it was kind of weird. And I'm still not quite. I want to do more bike rides. Of course, I got to get that front tire fixed. It's flat again, but I could keep it inflated every day, and it lasted the ride. But it's just been a little different, and I've been keeping busy. I washed and waxed both cars, which I don't think I've ever done in my whole life. I've been trying to stay busier. Actually, I find myself filling all my time in the day and not, I didn't have a nap the last 2 days, and we took naps regularly because we were so tired from riding all day. We take like a little power nap in mid-afternoon.
Yep.
But that's gone away now, and I'm just trying to get back into regular life.
Yeah. Well, me too. And I've kind of hit the road running hard because I have a film to promote and a film to get out there. So we have a question from Elaine. She says, what did you find was the most challenging part of your coast to coast ride, physical or emotional? Any thoughts on that?
Physical, well, actually, you could call. There's two locations I could think of that were physically difficult. One was Lolo Pass,
Mhm.
and that was because it was like 15 miles of being in third gear and just grinding up this slope every time. Every time we go around a bend and think it was going to level off a little bit and we get a break, it did not. It just kept on climbing.
Yeah.
Thank you for the hand warmers at the top. We won't go into that, but then
there's a story there.
yes, there is. We'll share it someday. But and then the other place was in Pittsburgh when we got out the Panhandle Trail and made a right up that hill. If you remember in the video, there was one picture of my backside pushing a bike up a hill.
Yeah.
That was on that climb, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
And that was just after being on Panhandle Trail, which is relatively flat. It was what was it, almost like a 13?
It was a 14%.
14% grade.
Grade, yeah. You know, if you're going up a mountain pass in your car and you see those hill signs and it says, 6% grade, well, this was twice that.
Yes.
And then some.
Yeah, exactly. And it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
And we were going up the hill, not down.
Now down the other side was fun.
Down the other side was fun.
Wow.
I hit my record.
Yes, you
I
did.
broke my record.
What was that?
47 miles an hour?
I was 35 on that. You flew
Yeah.
right past me.
It was fast. It was pretty fast.
Yes, it was.
I have to say for me, one of the more challenging, and I'm going to put up this picture. It's going to look kind of weird with us on each side of it, but this is one of the more challenging days.
Yes, that was hard.
This was in a spot that was this particular spot was probably about 12 miles west of West Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a beautiful day. We were about 60, almost 70 miles in at this point.
Yeah.
At this point of the
Beautiful ride the whole time.
Beautiful day, just gorgeous, had a tailwind, just a wonderful, wonderful ride. And then we came across this, drove right toward those clouds. And as we came to a T in the road, we had to turn right to go into West Yellowstone. And that was an 8-mile drive down to West Yellowstone. And as we turned right, the storm was now those dark clouds were off to our left. And there was a headwind right in our face, straight at us. Mm-hmm. And so back to your question, Elaine, the emotional and physical part, this is where it hit me. It's so extremely difficult to pedal right into that headwind. I don't know how strong the wind was. It might have been 15 miles an hour. Could have been 20. I'm not sure.
And the wind chill was pretty severe.
And the wind chill was bad. And we knew the storm was coming. There was lightning. There was lightning happening, and there was no shelter. No. It was just forest on both sides of the road as far as we could see. I remember going up over this hill thinking, oh, maybe town's right over the hill. And as far as you could see, because the road was straight, as far as you could see was just more trees. Mm-hmm. And so that emotional letdown of, so I got into this groove that day. And I have to say, and I'm a spiritual person, and I'm a person of faith, and I had help that day. Mm-hmm. Because there's no way I could have pedaled that, because it took an hour to go that 8 miles. It took 1 hour into the wind, that storm bearing down on us in the rain. It started raining on us.
Yep.
And at one point, John yelled, he was behind me, and he said, Conrad, I got to stop. I'm freezing.
It was very cold for me. You didn't feel it.
I never felt it. I was wearing a t-shirt, kind of like this one. I was wearing a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. And we stopped, and he put his jacket on, and we kept on going. I said, John, just get right behind me. And so on a bike, if you're in a wind, I'm going to get this off the screen here. If you get right behind each other like this, the person in the back gets that wind break from the person in the front. So I said, John, just get right behind me and just draft. And I just put my head down and just pedaled. And we got to the hotel. I'll never forget. We got to the hotel. I wasn't a lick tired. Mm-hmm. It was like there was something else there pedaling for me.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully,
because, and we made it. Yes. We made it before the storm actually never did really formulate in town.
No, it didn't.
But it gave us a huge scare.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the most challenging day for me personally, from both the physical and emotional standpoint, because it was just like, we have to get to town. We have to get to shelter. We have to get to a place where it's safe. We don't mind riding in the rain.
No,
We don't care. We can ride in the rain all day, and we have.
right. In Yellowstone.
In Yellowstone, 2 days,
2 days in a row.
40-degree rain.
Yes, it was. It was cold and wet.
But when it comes to lightning, that's a whole another ball of wax.
What about that other storm we saw out
in Indiana?
Indiana?
Yeah.
That nice family waved us in.
Yeah, we had a family that waved us in, and we were like, "Oh, we're good, peace out." And about a quarter mile later, we were like, "Let's stop and check this thing out." And I turned around like this, and I looked, and I saw a shelf cloud behind us.
Yeah,
and it was moving fast. And I said, "Oh, we better get going."
We wouldn't have got more than 2 miles.
No, we wouldn't have got more than a mile, because we ended up going back to those people who yelled at us, and within 10 minutes the wind and the rain was coming like ferociously, and we were able to get in the shelter. And that was a close call.
Yes, it was,
because there was
nice. Our road angels.
Yeah, we had a lot of road angels.
Yes,
and
we
so
did.
that was, so we heard a little bit about what you're doing. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I'm doing. As you can imagine, I'm still have the film to bring around the country, and that's what I'm doing. So we have events coming up in Pennsylvania and in South Carolina. We have events in Atlanta, and I have other events that we have coming up in San Diego and some other places. So I'm traveling a lot this fall, bringing the film to communities around the country. And we're actually planning a tour of like Nevada and Utah and Idaho, that area. We're planning some events out there. And so I'll be coming to different parts of the country. And if you want me to come to your neck of the woods and bring the film, just go to our website, ptsd911movie.com, fill out a form there, and we'll be happy to talk to you guys about coming to your area. The other thing I'm doing, John, is I had a podcast before the film. Before I finished the film, I had a podcast called PTSD 911 Presents.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you probably seen that. Many of you probably listened to it. And I decided to rebrand that show and bring it back.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm doing that. So it is now called the First Responder Wellness Podcast. And we are launching that on September 6th.
Cool.
You can find it at ptsd911movie.com. You can go there, and you can also find it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. So we are in the process right now of booking guests and recording interviews and all that kind of stuff. So we are really excited about that, and looking forward to bringing this show to the world. And so and our focus really is going to be leadership, wellness, and first responders, and really the target audience are first responders and those who lead them. And so we're going to bring some really high level people to the show. Got some amazing guests booked already, and so be on the lookout for that coming in the very near future. In the meantime, we're going to keep physically fit, right?
Yes.
I'm working on the elliptical. I'm doing all those kind of things to stay in shape. You know, I get a lot of comments about my look and oh, you lost some weight, and it's like, yeah, that's a good thing. And
great diet program.
Yeah, great diet. Hey, if you want to lose some pounds, go out there and ride 65 days across the country on a bicycle.
That's right. You can eat whatever you want the whole trip.
Yeah,
we had desserts and everything.
Anything we wanted.
Yes.
Yeah,
still
anything
lost
we
40
wanted.
pounds.
And John lost 40 pounds. I lost maybe 10 or so. Gained some of it back already.
Yeah, I didn't weigh myself yet.
Yeah. Well, sooner or later you probably will.
Yes.
But,
well, this is I'm going to lose like what 0.1 pound. I'm going to go back to my normal look.
Yeah.
Just to go to.
Well, John, I have to say, you know, it's been so much fun having you along on this ride and being a part of this journey. Thank you for coming along.
Oh, well, thank you for the invite. I couldn't imagine my life without it now. I mean, it's been just so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and I have something for you.
You do?
I have something for you as a thank you for coming along, and I want to give it to you.
Oh. Oh my gosh, check it out. Oh, I was a little heavier back then. No, where was this at? Do you
This,
remember?
I believe this was in.
I was going to say.
I believe it was Wyoming.
I was going to say Wyoming.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That is too cool.
So that's just a little thank you for coming along. So you can hang it on your wall and let that be a reminder of our journey across the country.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Very cool.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was trying to figure out, what photo to use for this, and I was going through my archive on my phone, and I was like, yeah, I think that one will work. So
you didn't get the one on the boardwalk with those guys in the back.
we won't talk about that one.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, this is one of my favorite shots.
Oh, that is cool.
Of you on the bike, and I was glad that it worked out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
and nice clouds, not dark ones.
Yeah, this is a nice day. This is one of those nice days. So
very cool. I really appreciate that, Conrad.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that was an hour right there, man. Right on the button.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So it's been a great time. Thank you so much for being with us today and for watching this and for being a part of this. Hey, a little shout out to Shannon McQuaid. How are you? She says, bringing the podcast back. Yes. So Shannon, great to see you, and great to hear from
Tim
you.
Stanzik out there. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, so many of you watching. So thank you so much for watching and for supporting us and encouraging us on. So many of you even made donations to our ride and to the film. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a part of this amazing journey. And
thanks to the guys at work who supported me.
Yeah,
Conrad.
Yeah, we had a whole team of them who were a day supporter. They gave enough to support us for a whole day. So
yeah, and then they joined us at the beach when we got there.
Yeah, that was amazing. And
that was cool.
Hey, guys, I want to give a shout out to Mike Ming. I don't know if he's watching, but Mike Ming and Sequoia, they came to our launch in Oregon.
Picked us up at the airport.
Picked us up at the airport in Portland, and then they flew all the way from San Francisco. They flew all the way to Maryland and joined us for the arrival in Ocean City. And so that was just, that was great to have Mike and Sequoia there. And we also had Maddie and Moose and Jordan and their friend David.
That's right.
So
don't forget about Axl Rose.
Oh, and someone else I got to give a big shout out. He made a comment earlier tonight. Rick Barton. Rick is the head guy at ICISF.
Oh, that's right. He rode in with us.
And he rode with us the last day, the last 20 some miles. And so he joined us for that final leg. And it was very appropriate because Rick was the very first head of an organization who endorsed the film. And he was my very first advisor on the film. And so it was appropriate for Rick to join us for that final day.
Yeah.
And that final 24 miles
on his birthday.
On his birthday.
That's right.
So Rick, thank you for joining us on your birthday.
We did sing happy birthday to him on the boardwalk.
Yeah, we did. And so Rick, thank you for joining us that day. It was amazing. And for everyone else who was there, I know our families were there. My kids, my grandkids,
my granddaughter were there.
Granddaughter was there. So
mother-in-law were there.
It was just so great to have so many people there supporting us, and so many of you out there have supported us, and we want to say thank you. Keep on supporting first responders. Keep on being an advocate for them, because our first responders deserve to be well, to live long and prosperous and healthy lives. And so reach out to your leadership in your communities and say, hey, what are we doing to help our first responders? That's what our mission is. That's what the mission of this ride was, and will continue to be in the months and years to come, as I continue to bring this film to the world and to the communities that we visit. So thank you for supporting us. And before we just keep elaborating on and
we could talk for hours.
We could probably talk for hours. And we're gonna lose everybody here. So
yes, it all fell off.
John, any final words?
Don't ever sell yourself short. You can do more than you can imagine. I know I had a buddy at work, Mark, who didn't think I could last more than 7 days. And I made a point to say something to him. One of them, I think it was on the 9th day. I said, I made it past 7 days. Ha ha ha. But you'd be surprised. I had so many people on the trip, and you heard too, the day, oh, there's no way I could do this. I turned 60 in May. Conrad's, I believe, 58, right?
Shh.
If we were ladies, we wouldn't have
I'm
shared that
58.
information. But anyway, you can do more than you think, and you can have more of an effect on the world. This has been a real blessing in my life to be able to just reach out and talk to firemen and police officers and stuff, and reach out. And we've made so many friends on this ride, and people that I consider family. We had friends met in Scottsbluff, his close friends, and I think if I go to that town again, the guy there, Alan, he's not going to let me stay anywhere else. I got to go stay with him. But those friendships mean a lot. And met so many wonderful people. And Doozer used to say that. He said, there's a lot of wonderful people out there. And we met a lot of them as we came cross country.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so true. The news you watch the news, you think is all bad out there, but it's not. There's a lot of good out there.
Yeah, a lot of good people.
And there's a lot of good people out there. And so, and there's a lot of great first responders out there.
Yes, there are.
And so we hope to meet some more. So we're going to do another adventure sometime.
I'm up for it. Just let me know when.
I'll tell you what I want to do.
What do you want to do? I'm afraid to ask.
It's an easy one.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So, we rode the C&O Canal down to Williamsport.
Yeah.
I think we need to finish it.
I'm game.
I think we need to ride from Williamsport to Washington, D.C.
Let's do it.
All right. You heard it. We'll document it. And by the way, speaking of documenting.
Oh, that's right.
For those of you who came late, I'm going to play our video again.
Okay.
Here's a little teaser snapshot from our ride. And we are going to be working on a YouTube series about our ride. And so we got all this video footage from the ride. And so we're going to do a YouTube series. But here's a little snapshot for those of you who missed it early on.
Yeah.
Here's a little snapshot from our ride. See if I can get this queued up here. Here we go. And play.
Good morning. Here we go. The journey begins.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing.
Push it, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't get old.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the whole.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do a YouTube series. Probably gonna be broken up into 1 week chunks at a time. So I gotta find some time to put that together.
Yeah.
But be looking for that on the YouTube out there.
Yes.
So anyway, that's our show for tonight. That's all we got, and we're gonna sign off here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us, and we can't wait to for the next adventure.
Yes.
You guys be well. Take care of yourself, and go out and do some good in the world. All right. Have a good night.